All right, new problem, and we'll begin by reading that question sentence first. Here it says, what is the average speed for the entire trip? So the one thing that we want to understand is, other than this being a distance, rate, and time question, what we want to really drive home is that if we want the average speed, which is rate, if we want that for the entire trip, we cannot set up a formula without plugging in the distance for the entire trip and the time for the entire trip. So let me just go ahead and write that here. We need the distance for the entire trip and the time for the entire trip. That is the only way that we will get the rate for the entire trip. Seriously, I keep repeating myself, and that's for good reason. That's the main theme of this one. Because when we take a look at the information we're given, it says a cyclist rides 44 miles, in 2 hours, takes no break, and then rides 36 miles at 18 miles per hour. So when we take a look at the information given, my party people, we have two parts to this trip, in blue there and in green over here. So everyone, which of the two missing pieces is the easiest to find right now? You tell me. Is the distance for the entire trip or the time for the entire trip easier to find at this current moment? If you're leaning towards distance, that's distance. Distance is the easier one to find right now. How do I know this? Check it out. We have 44 miles for the first part of the trip, 36 miles for the second part of the trip. So if we want the entire distance, everybody, we're just adding 44 miles and 36 miles. That's how we're going to get the entire trip's distance. So let's add that together here. 4 plus 6, that's going to be 10. Carry that 1. 4 plus 3 plus 1, that's 7 plus 1. So that's going to be 8. So we have 80 miles. That is our total distance. 80 miles. So again, we're looking for that rate, so I'll just keep it as R. But now we need the total time. So here's where a bit of an issue occurs. Sure, we have 2 hours for the first part of the trip, but we are not given the time for the second part. Everyone, can we find the time for the second part, given that we have the distance being 36 miles and the rate being 18? Are we able to find that time period? Absolutely, right? We just have to divide both sides by that 18. Once we do that, check it out. We have 18 on both sides being divided, cancels out on the right side. And everyone, 36 divided by 18, that'll be 2. 18 times 2, that is 36. So the time for the second leg, that's 2 hours. So there we are, boom, 2 hours for the second leg. And then for that first leg, everybody, what was that time again? Right there, that's 2 hours. So the first leg was 2 hours. The second leg was 2 hours. We add all of that together and we get the entire trip's time, which is 4 hours. Now that we have that, now we're in business because we'll plug in the time right here. 2 hours, nice and easy. And everybody, what is the last operation we'll use here to get the rate by itself? That's going to be division. Absolutely. Here we go. We're done. Divide both sides by 2 here and there. Or excuse me, I almost made a huge error. Excuse me there. I put 2. It's supposed to be 4. Excuse me there. So we have 4. Thanks for being patient on that. And now that we'll divide 4 on both sides, nice and easy. 80 divided by 4 gives us 20. And that is our rate. 20 miles per hour for the entire trip. And I want to make sure I stress this point again because this is how we solved it. If we want the rate for the whole trip, your other pieces must be consistent. Distance for the whole trip, time for the whole trip. That's the biggest key here, my friends. But there we are. The correct answer is 20 miles per hour, which reflects on answer choice D. There we are. All right, here in this next question, everybody, what we're going to do is we're always going to begin by reading the question sentence first. So when we do that, what we see here is that it says, if the team has this many total players, how many are guards? Okay, so I'll write that down here. It says 96 total, and then we're looking for blank guards. So notice the 96 total that they gave us is being compared with the number of guards that we're looking for. And that's not a coincidence, because when you take a look at the first sentence, it says on a basketball team, 5 out of every 12 players are guards. So look at that. We have the same things being compared in the same way. We see total to guards, and again, 12 players total, 5 of them are guards. That's what that first sentence tells us right here. 5 out of every 12 players are guards. So for every 12 players that you have, which is a total, 5 of them will be guards. So now that we're here, guess what? As long as we compare the same things in the same way, we'll be fine. Because if you take a look, let me just draw a little line over here. You'll notice that this is the total and this is the number of guards. And so as long as I compare the same things in the same way, we're good. Watch this. Total and then guards. Here we go. So everyone, for the first one here, we have 96 for the total. And I'll just go ahead and say X for the number of guards. So 96 total over X, which is what we're looking for. Up next, on the other side, again, comparing the same things in the same way, we have 12 for the total over here. So I'll put 12 up top. And then 5 for the number of guards. And that'll go right here on the bottom. There we are. So now up next, we can choose to cross multiply and divide, or we might want to try to see if we can notice a convenience. The convenience here is that 12 can go into 96. Everyone, how many times does 12 go into 96? Yeah, that's going to be a multiplication factor of 8 times 8. So everyone, here's the rule. The cool thing about proportions is that, again, comparing the same things in the same way, it rules. Because if you go right to left times 8 on the top, you can go times 8 right to left on the bottom. Everyone, what's 5 multiplied by 8? Yeah, that's 40. And there you go. There's our answer, and we are good. Again, we can also choose to try to cross multiply and divide. If we do that, that's going to be 12 times X. And then we have 96 multiplied by 5, which ends up becoming 480. And then dividing by 12 gives us the same exact answer. X equals 40, which is answer choice A. And there we go. All good with this one here.